Okay, Terry, what about you? What were the, do you, yeah, let me ask you the same question I asked Kaliwa in the sense of, did you grow up with more shoulds or more freedom?
I think my parents chose the freedom route. We had our rules because at the end of the day, we were still a Shona family. So the typical stuff, like Kay is saying, the dating thing was, you know, books before boys because boys bring babies. That was one I used to hear.
Yes, I remember that. It's at the 70s.
Really? That's funny.
One of those, and um, but at the same time, when I look back, I think us, my family moving away from Zim really also just forced my parents to not have a choice but to be more open minded and less traditional about certain things. They're not the most traditional of couples to begin with. So the way they raised us was very more open to exploring and figuring things out. But where I would say it's not backfired, because that's the wrong word to use, but where I felt the difference between myself and say my cousins who were born and raised in Zim was when we'd visit, because there was a lot of changes that we had to make from things that we do in our house that we're not necessarily going to be able to do when we visit certain households in Zim. So things like dress code, for instance. Dress code, wherever we were living, we wore whatever we wore. As soon as we're in Zim, it's a lot more modest, and certain households don't even wear pants too, because that's just one of the traditional things that they've just
Oh,
run with.
wow.
And initially I used to fight it and be like, no, man, but if I'm visiting you or if you're coming to visit me, accept that this is what I'm wearing. But eventually you're kind of just like, okay, cool, this is a thing. Because it's a thing with some families where women wear skirts and dresses, men wear pants. So as soon as a female is wearing, excuse you, what are you doing? So it's things like that. Even in terms of going out in the evening, that's another thing. There's a curfew is a thing. You need to be home before the sun sets. If you're not home before the sun sets, you're up to no good. So it's small things like
Wow.
for me, yes, it's a big thing.
Wow.
4 o'clock, that's the time. It's usually 4 o'clock. If you're not home by 4, some families, if it's a female especially, if you're home after 4, your father will likely meet you at the gate and say, "Go back where you're coming from." He tells you that
Wow.
will never happen again, because he will tell you go back where you're coming from, because the assumption is you're up to no good. Whatever you're doing after 4 is not anything positive or good. So yeah, so I would not. I think for me that was where my disparity came in, where we were with my family, very open-minded. The rules were there. We had, there was your typical household rules and so forth. But as soon as we go to Zim, I think we all just put on a little bit of a show just to fit in with the culture and all of that of our
Yeah.
family.
Right.
But with that being said, Tara, I just wonder, have you ever introduced a guy to your family?
Not formally, but I think my parents are very open to me having male friends, right? So it's always been easy for me to bring a guy home. I don't have to say, Mom, Dad, this is my boyfriend. It's always been, hey, this is my friend, so and so. And he can hang out at the house and so forth. Obviously, it is you're hanging out until 4 and then you're out. Never by yourself, like would be with everybody else. If he's coming over for lunch, we have lunch with everybody else. So my parents have been open to me having male friends. So it's all that in that regard, it's been easy. In terms of my mom knowing, I think more recently we are a lot more open, where I can have more real conversations of this is what is happening, this is how I'm feeling about it, and she gives her opinions and her advice and so forth. But my mom's and I's relationship hasn't always been what it is now. It's been a work in progress too. So, which is another thing.
It's always really close.
I don't know if you agree, Kay, but I think this is another thing where in African households, parents and children, there's a fine line. You're a parent and a child. The relationship is parent-child. There's no friendship in there.
Yes.
So even our friends, and she's literally one of my best friends right now. For us to be where we are now, this is for some people. I'm pretty sure some people look at us and they're like, oh, "That's weird." That's not how things are supposed to be. But I think that,
Mm,
yeah, but that's the thing. You're a parent, you're a child. You're not friends.
mm,
That's
mm,
mother, son, whatever it is. There's no friendship in the middle of it, which is why we end up with so much stuff that we don't tell them.
Right.
yes. Keeping
That's hard.
secrets.
Yes,
Although,
Mm.
Harry, with you, it sounds like you guys got there. With
we
what?
did.
Steps? Or what was it that shifted for you?
For me, I remember very clearly. It was when I moved out of the house, when I went to university. I think I was a day scholar. I was not a boarding school or anything. My mom was a housewife, so my mom was in my face every day. Drop-offs in the morning and pickups in the afternoon throughout my primary and high school career. My mom was I saw my mom pretty much every single day of my life for a very long time, unless she was on vacation or I was away with friends or whatever like that. That was something else. But I think as soon as we had that separation, that's when I longed for a relationship with her. Both, I guess, were ready for it at that point. I have to say, it was easy for me to build that relationship with my mom than it was for my older sister to do the same thing. They have only more recently actually got like a real friendship between them. But that took longer than mine and my mom's relationship did.
Wow.
Yeah,
Mm.
moving out of the house.
But it also
Like,
sounds like
Yeah.
you worked at it. Like your mom worked at it too, and your sister worked at it. It was almost an intention that this was going to be a shift into an adult relationship of friends rather than a mother-daughter relationship.
Yeah.
Mm. And would you guys say, have you guys always had like a mother-daughter, but also friendship kind of thing going?
Tyler?
Oh, us. Oh, right. I think it has kind of been a friendship thing, honestly. I never felt like there was a strong difference between like mother child. What would you say? Yeah. And maybe maybe there should have been, because I could be kind of a brat sometimes. But yeah, I think that it was always yeah, it kind of felt like an older sister too.
Mm.
Like you felt like a mix between an older sister and a mother.
And not quite grown up yet, older sister.
No, I'm gonna expose you. No, actually, I don't want to because it's too.
No, do it. What was I gonna say?
On
When
my ninth birthday party, yeah, I was
I
on my ninth birthday party. I was appalled. I was like, what is this household? It's chaos because we're all in my bedroom, and my mom had these like they're like boxer underwear, like little pink camouflage boxer underwear. And you came into my room and started shaking your butt at my friends as a joke. And they thought it was hilarious, but I was just so disturbed, so profoundly disturbed by my mother. Didn't they say something on it?
it had a little heart sewn into it because it used to before, like when I was younger, it used to be like, oh, I wore it for a Halloween costume, I think. And yeah, I had a heart sewn in the bum or something. I don't know.
Mm.
But okay. So no, we never did. We never did have a like a mother-daughter relationship. But I think we had a very different relationship than I had with my mom. And so so let me like just skip
That's
stage.
true.
Yeah, like my mom was definitely always the mom sort of role, and she and I clashed a lot. And you know, she was always like, be on your best behavior. And I think my mom's worst fear was getting embarrassed. And I used to embarrass her all the time. And it was, I would feel like I just have to do this thing. Like on church, you know, my dad was a minister and my mom was the minister's wife, and my brother was a very, like, you know, respectable boy. and I used to just kind of run wild. And I remember one day having a big fight with my mom before church because I decided it was the 80s and I wanted to just wear like my dad's old t-shirt and then like a luminous pink belt and then like bright pink fishnet stockings. And my mom said, go to church like this. And I'm like, why can't I go to church like this? This outfit is awesome. Like I love my outfit. And she's like, you just can't. People, And so I was always, yeah, and it was weird. I never thought that I would be speaking about feeling like I can't. It's almost too, you're dressing in an unladylike way. You're not being a lady. But I think that was the hard thing for my mom is that my daughter's not a lady. And I also went through a nudist phase where I always wanted to like not wear, which my mom was also not happy about. So we were just very opposite people. I'm not opposite people. We were just, I think I triggered my mom in a lot of ways. And so maybe it was the opposites that I
Yeah, I
wanted.
think you wanted to make sure that I never felt like I triggered you.
Yeah, like I was dating maybe in some ways by being super friend, like your big sister or whatever.
Yeah, well, the way you acted with your mom is kind of like how you acted with me in a way.
What do you mean?
No, because you would do what you wanted to do, I guess, as a mother. It's like as a kid, you couldn't do what you wanted to do. But as a mother, you were able to be rebellious. But like you would paint the walls with like gold ink and like draw fairies on the walls and paint the toilet seat. Just like
nails.
red. Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
And so for me, it was like, oh, there she goes, I guess.
The sister mom of mine.
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
remember Tyler got so furious with me at Halloween when we did the pumpkin
Oh,
carving.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
like, usually you put the pumpkins out for Halloween and you carve like scary faces, but I made our pumpkins drunk pumpkins so that they all barfed, like all the seeds and everything like had vomit and there were bear bottles. I thought you were so mad at me.
I was again appalled. This is not appropriate. They're supposed to be cute pumpkins, not intoxicated ones.
But now I wonder, but like, I mean, obviously you won't know this, Kyla, but like, what kind of mother do you think you'll be? Do you think you'll be like a very free-spirited mom, or do you feel like maybe you will try and just be a bit more like prim and proper in a sense?
No, I don't. I think I will be free-spirited. I don't think I could be prim and proper. I don't think I'd know how to be prim and proper. I've never really seen that. Enough of that. As a mother. I think I'd probably be more free-spirited. When I'm with kids, like at the summer camp I was working at, the kids called me out and were like, why are you always acting like a kid? Like one of the and it wasn't even my intention. So I think I do just naturally act like a kid when I'm around kids. So I think I might be like that as a mom. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, but you've had nanny and mama.
Yeah.
They'll help you to be like, they're quite old lady like.
Yeah.
Anyways.
I just associate. Yeah.
What are you gonna say?
No, I just associate that because I think of how poorly they were treated in their marriages, and so I just associate that with that, and so I don't want to be like that because I.
But that's fair.
Yeah.
So something Kyla and I have spoken about, in terms of taboos that are not just around maybe sexuality, but maybe a little bit more like that is like the women in our family are not very good at being angry or assertive enough. In their relationships with men, they've often been, what would you say? Like that we've been kind of railroaded, or that there's been, it's hard to kind of to describe it. What would you say, Kyla?
I just think that they'd always I don't know, just put the guy's words first,
Yeah.
like their
Mm.
thoughts and
Yeah.
decisions come second,
Right.
and the guys are like
Mm.
the geniuses. I don't know.
Or
You get the
yeah.
short end of the stick almost.
Like what?
They
Sorry.
get the shorter end of the stick in relationships.
Yeah, like it's almost like ingrained that we put our needs on the back burner and hope
Mm.
feel good about himself or
Yeah,
feel
exactly. It's always about making them feel good and
Yeah.
elevating
we
that
fawn.
person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We fawners. We're wonderful fawners. We're
Mm.
we're the best fawners for a man with a fragile ego.
Mm. But then now, okay, this is like just a little unrelated. But then, do you think, because like, you know, they were saying like, you know, white women do get married sooner than black women. Do you think this is it? Like, do you think like white women are generally just like fawners? Like, I mean, you know, you can't speak on
no,
behalf of
yeah.
them, but
Yeah, I wonder. I kind of, because you
Yes.
do see it more. Yeah, I think
Mm.
so.
I think we're
Yeah.
taught like from a very young age unconsciously to do that.
Mm.
Why white women are not black women? Why are black women not taught to fawn like we are?
I think we can't. Even if I think even like if we wanted to, like I think like at a certain point you learn that you have to be assertive, or
Right.
else it's just going to be hell for you.
Yeah.
So maybe this is the thing. Like instead of, you know, maybe I think because you know, as you're saying, like it is a survival instinct, isn't it? So maybe for a certain people, it's like, oh, fawning is like how I'm gonna survive, and then for other
Right.
people, or like, oh, fighting is how I
Right.
survive.
Right.
And I think maybe for us, or like for me rather, if I'm just speaking for myself, I think for me, it's like, you know, it's like fighting is how I survive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
Helena, that's a very interesting insight that you've just had, because it makes me think about the conversations that people have around feminists who vote Republican, and kind of why do they do that? And the argument is made that it's because they stand to benefits, because their husbands probably vote Republican, and therefore
Mm.
their best interest, in the same way that white women who are of a certain privileged class stand to benefit from fawning, because it's going to be the thing.
Yeah.
This husband, he's going to get you
That's true.
course, and then
Right.
the son gets to go to that school. And so yes, it's in our best interest to fawn from an economic perspective, but maybe if your husband is not going to open those doors, then what's the point of fawning? You just need to go to the table and do the things and become that survivor where you rely on yourself rather than die.
Yeah, because you're offering like you're giving me a different perspective as well then, yeah. That like maybe for us, we have not seen the benefits of fawning, whereas you
Right.
see more the benefits of
Right.
fighting.
Right.
Or with
Yeah.
fawning, there has been a lot of abuse, or you know, it just hasn't turned out right. So you almost automatically have this need to be assertive and very edgy to, you know, to get the better end of the stick.
Yes.
That's so interesting that you say that, Terry, because I think that you're right. The abuse maybe is more obvious when it's right in your face. But I think in some homes, the abuse is it's very insidious, and you don't recognize until you've lived it, and you feel the darkness in the abuse. But it's much harder to then recognize it and be like, oh, I need stronger boundaries here to stop myself from feeling subjugated. Whereas if it's obvious abuse, if you're getting like beaten up, or you see your mother getting physically beaten up, obviously you're going to realize that there's something wrong with this scenario.
Yeah.
It's much harder when it's like never living her life on her terms and doing what she wants to do. That's a much more insidious, I don't know, power dynamic.
Mm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
We just went so deep, guys.
I know. I feel like I've been in a university lecture.
So what's the answer though? I mean, I would have to say I think it's probably stronger boundaries and not putting up with bullshit and not phoning. But
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, what do you guys say?
Mm.
Can phoning not be a beautiful thing when it is to a person who is not self like who doesn't have an ego issue?
Yeah,
Mm.
I think
definitely.
things that we are now turning as human beings, things that we are now turning negative. And we have a habit of turning beautiful things into negativity. But it's not because the attribute is negative, it's because of how the next person is mistreating it.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. I think that's true.
so I
Yeah,
don't
it's
think
not.
it's a bad quality. We're just giving it to the wrong people sometimes.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's how I learned in the last year or so about myself.
Mm.
That there's so many things that I started seeing about myself that were not, that I started asking myself, like, is this really a good quality? Because when I give this out, it is thrown back in my face, or I give it out and it is
Exactly. Yeah,
only,
it's not appreciated. It's taken for
exactly,
granted.
only
Mm.
to do my personal work and work on myself and just realize that, okay, no, Terry, actually, these are very good qualities. It's just the other person who is mishandling what you
Exactly.
And I think this is why I have a problem with one of the problems that I have a problem with, like terms of endearment. Because to me, they feel like fawning. I'm actually just realizing this now as we're talking. Yeah, because maybe to me, they feel like fawning. And like, I feel like it's something that I fight very hard against. Like, I don't want to be a fawner. Because I don't know, to me, that's like, I think maybe because of like the environment that I grew up in, it feels like a weakness in a sense. You know what I mean? Although maybe in a different environment, it's like a strength.
Okay. What do you mean in terms of endearment? Do you mean by flattering somebody else and telling them?
Yeah, or even just like saying, "Oh, babes," or something like that. Like to me, that's like I'm fawning. I'm
No,
like,
totally.
I
feel the same way. No, yeah.
Maybe it's different though. I think that Terry, you are a natural nurturer. You're very maternal, and so I think those words come naturally to you. Whereas Kaliwa, you're much more the kind of person that's going to call you on your bullshit, which I love about you as well. That it's not a soft sort of thorny kind of that doesn't come naturally to you, and maybe that's also okay that doesn't. Because we are different people. Lila, you're the same. I know that. I'm, you've never been good with, I don't know, like those soft names, or I just see you and Cleo as being more, what's the word? Less romantically inclined when it comes to that stuff? Or do you think
maybe that's what it is. No, I think I am a romantic.
Okay.
But then I think like I want it to be like it needs to be honest. Maybe sometimes maybe like, say that again, yeah?
No, you finish that off after.
Yeah, but like maybe I don't know. Maybe to me, it just doesn't feel authentic to say those things because like that's what like everybody says to everybody. So like it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't feel honest.
It doesn't feel honest. It feels like decorative, like you're trying to make it more sweet than it is.
Yeah. We're like, let's just take this as it is. Like this is good enough. Like why are we trying to add other things to it? You know?
Exactly.
So what are your feelings on like baby talk where you're like, oh, hello, my baby?
That's revolting.
I could do that with kids. I could do that with dogs.
Me
I just
too.
can't do it with humans. Like, well, I mean, like kids I can do too, but like with adults, I can't do it. It just feels weird. And but even like kids don't really like it. Like, like
No, they don't.
4 or 5-year-olds, because like it makes them feel like you're treating them like a child.
Yeah,
So I think
exactly.
it'd be so like in some sense as well, it's like sometimes I feel like this is like sorry, going off topic, but sometimes like, using those terms feels like you're treating someone like a child. Like I hate it when a man refers to himself as a boy. Hate it. Like you're not a boy. Like, it's like, oh, I've been a bad boy or something like that. Like, what? You're not a child. So sometimes like using terms like, oh, babe, you like even baby, like that's a term for like an infant. Like, why am I calling you a baby when you're grown? It does not make sense to me.
I'm still wondering who this boy is that told you. I mean, who this man is. So
Who said I'm a bad boy?
Listen, so many have said this to me,
Actually,
and it's such a turn off.
that's true. I was actually the guy, the one from Tofu, the
Uh,
Joy, the guy with the long dreadlocks.
yeah.
He called himself he was like, I'm a bad boy, you don't want to know me.
Oh, gosh.
Like,
But
yes,
it's so
I do.
cringy.
I've never had anybody call themselves a bad boy with me.
Even, I'm not going to refer to him by his name, but the older gentleman that I had like a thing, like would refer to himself as like sometimes like, oh, I've been a
Oh.
bad boy. Like, what? You are in your 50s, sir. How are you? How are you referring to yourself as a boy right now? And then like even like this this little guy that I was chatting to for like a bit, like cause he even like at some point like, oh, like I've just been I've been a bad boy. I was a bad boy in my past, something like that. Like it's like it's just like, why would you refer to yourself as that? Like why don't you want to say, like why don't you want to use the word man? Doesn't yeah.
But some women enjoy that. Like some women like to have that maternal role where they're like, I don't know, spank you if you've been a bad boy. I don't
Yeah,
know.
like oh
but
yeah, no, it yes, like people have that like but it just does not make sense to me. I think it's one of those things that just make no sense to me.
Mm.
Like I don't want a child.
no,
I'm
no.
sorry. Like I do not want a child.
Yes. I've
Even though
never
I want to be a cougar one day, but
yes, but that's totally like educate these young men as a cougar.
but he needs to be a young man.
Yes.
Not a
Like
boy.
do not act like a boy, please. Like what are we doing? No. I'm not raising a child.
Yes. No, that's fair. I've never had a man call himself a bad boy with me, but I have had a man call me mommy. And that's just yeah, not your mommy. But wait, what were we saying before that? Oh, about you being a cougar. Okay. So what is it about cougar that you really would want to explore?
I don't know, like they are energetic. They're less they are less what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word for when like people have seen it all and then they just become like so pessimistic about everyone else? What is the word I'm looking for?
Jaded?
Jaded. They are not as jaded.
Mm.
Yes. I feel like this with the younger group. They're not as jaded and they're a lot more energetic, a lot more enthusiastic, man. I think that's what I like about the younger guys.
I see.
Younger.
It's not so
Yes,
much
the
you
younger
being,
men, Tari. There we go.
and they still have all those beautiful abs. That's what I miss.
Yes.
Ugh.
They still take care of themselves physically.
And even if they don't, they still have these beautiful bodies, like just their muscles. It's just like they have them.
You know?
I remember.
Yeah. So I think that's what the draw is.
Okay.
Just like because I feel like men my age or older men, like they're so jaded, man.
Mm.
More so now. I think I'm seeing it more so now. I'm just like, ooh, men our
Like
age
in
are very jaded.
like in what
Mm.
way? What are they jaded about?
Everything. Just
Mm.
I think it's also just this whole thing of ambition. Like I'm so ambitious, I just want to reach certain goals, and
Right.
so nothing else in this world matters.
Yeah.
I don't believe in romance.
Mm.
I don't believe in this. I don't believe in that. This is not
Yeah.
important. I'm just focused on reaching this one career goal, and that's all I'm doing.
Yeah,
Maybe
because like one
like
woman maybe broke their hearts, and then now they think
Right.
like all women are the same.
all women are the
Or
same.
in South Africa, what I'm
Um,
seeing is like most of them think that like women are gold diggers. Like everyone's after like just their money. If you don't have money, I'm not worth anything or whatever. You
Yeah,
know?
I agree. In counseling, I think
Mm.
that I was surprised at how terrified men are of women and mistrustful.
Mm.
Like they don't trust you
Mhm.
gold digger or you're gonna lie and cheat and whatever. Like they really don't think women are very nice people.
Yeah.
Yes. But you know,
Yeah.
again, I'm just gonna, guys, I always have to talk about TikTok. But I saw this one post about this man where he was saying that like he's not interested in dating anymore because like, and then you are showing all the posts that he's been seeing that talk about like, that villainize women. So he was showing all these pages, like, with these little snippets, how women
Yeah.
are being villainized. Or like, oh, if you don't have money, no woman's gonna want you. Oh, if you don't
Yeah.
have this, like you are nothing to a woman. Like that's what
Yeah.
men are here.
No, exactly. I can't
Yeah.
talk, but yeah, here.
Yeah. Is that what you've been hearing?
So much.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah. This is what they feel about us. And this is why like I think like I'm getting to a point where I'm just realizing that, if a man does not feel good about himself, like don't even bother.
that is
Yeah,
true.
Don't
that's
waste your time.
very true. Very, very true.
scary though that they have this
It is.
It is this
It
idea that's
is.
festering everywhere.
Yeah. Because and then this is just like something else that I saw. This woman got stabbed by her boyfriend. It was somewhere in Cape Town. I don't know how many times he stabbed her, but it's because she wanted to end the relationship. And like, she was gaining more independence. Like she had a job, she was studying. And so like he just stabbed her because now she wanted to leave him. And like, he saw that she was making her life better.
wow.
Wow.
Yeah,
So
no,
did she die?
No, luckily she didn't.
But she was still stabbed.
Yeah, but she was stabbed like in public. Yeah.
Wow.
yeah, they say that's when women are actually at most at risk in abusive relationships is when they're trying to leave.
Oh
Mm.
gosh. Oof.
Okay, on this happy topic, you guys tell me what you've been called or accused of. So let's go with an angry woman. Anybody been accused of being like an angry woman?
Yes, I've been called that.
A ball breaker? Called a ball breaker?
I haven't
No,
heard
no,
that.
Sophie.
So when I saw it
Yeah.
on the list, I was kind of laughing. Like, where did you hear that, Mom?
Ball breaker? I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a woman who goes to work and then she's like, I don't know, takes on all the men. She's a ball breaker.
Oh, okay.
What about a
Right.
man eater? Anybody been accused of being a man eater?
Mm-mm.
I
No,
have.
but you have.
I've been accused.
Oh, wow.
I think it's a compliment.
Is it?
Yeah. I think there's something
Like, no,
that's
you have to
empowering
tell us now,
about it.
Kirsty. What was the context?
Oh, it
Yeah.
was the kindergarten assistant. He called me a man. Well, because all these other guys, like they sort of, I was kind of dating these guys, and everybody thought that I was like a wife material, but I wasn't really interested in dating guys who wanted to wife me up. And
Mhm.
so I just wanted like this person to come into my room at 12 o'clock at night, leave like at 1 o'clock in the morning. Sorry,
Mhm.
Kai.
Booty call.
Want all the other stuff. And so I guess I hurt these other men or whatever. I don't know if I hurt them. Anyways, he called me a man eater. Man eater.
Wow.
Mm.
Yeah, it's pretty hard.
It is. In that
Mm.
context, yes.
Yeah. Cocktease. Who's been called a cocktease?
I
I
have
think I've been
not.
called that, yeah.
Yes.
What? You guys have not been called cockteases?
Maybe
I think I have been, like, but once, I think.
Ah, so I know somebody who doesn't feel like she can enjoy herself sexually with a man unless it's going to end in pleasing the man, because otherwise she's going to be called a cocktease. So it's almost like
Mm.
you're not allowed to just have fun and explore without
Yeah.
getting to
Or
go.
even just flirt. Sometimes I think even if like if you just
Yes.
if you just, having a good time with somebody and stuff, and then like, maybe the person expects you now to go home with them then like, later, and just like, no, I'm not
Yes,
doing that.
yeah.
And then like it happens that, they call you like a cocktail and stuff like that. Where it's like, no, but I was just having a good time.
It was
exactly.
a right
You
down
know?
thing.
Yeah. Where it's like I'm not feeling it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. And that whole like expectation that if we laugh and have fun together, then
Yeah.
Getting-
It
yeah.
has to end in
Exactly.
something. Mm.
Okay, I know we're running out of time, so I'm not going to go into all of these. Do you guys were there any ones you specifically wanted to mention that you have been called or that you remember feeling some type of way about?
One I remember like from the list is like, what is it? An aggressive woman? I've been called that.
By who? Tell us the story.
I've been told by. I mean, because you know how I've been like kicked out of establishments. Um,
Right.
yeah, so like in these instances, like because I like because I found that like in these instances it would always be, or it was mostly like where I was actually just engaging in a fight or an argument with a man. And then so this is like when it would come out. Well, like, oh, you're like, why are you so aggressive, kind of thing. So it would come out like in those kind of
Yes.
situations.
Yes. I also remember feeling like being called like, you're so angry. Why are you so angry? I'm like,
Mm,
angry because you've been idiots. Like,
Yeah.
why am I
mm,
allowed to be angry about this? But it's said in such a kind of an insulting way that,
mm.
yeah, it's like
When
when,
anger is like is a perfectly valid
It is.
emotion.
yes,
Definitely.
yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. Another one that's like I've been called a bitch a few times. Sometimes even like by friends when they were fighting with me, when they were not happy with me.
Okay.
Like, oh, he's such a bitch.
And how do you feel?
Don't even like I don't know, because I don't feel like the term like bitch really applies to me. So like when this was said to me, I was like, but what? Just because like maybe I don't necessarily, because this is another thing, like where I have also lost friendships because maybe sometimes where if I don't agree with what you are saying, like I will tell you and I will not back down from it. Like even if it's something that like you really believe in, like just because you believe in does not mean that I'm going to believe in it too. But like I think whereas like I think in some situations where like I am able to be like, I mean, it obviously depends on what it is, where like even if we disagree on some things, like I'm like, okay, we disagree on this, but doesn't mean that like I still see the other qualities that I value about you. Whereas for some people it's not, or maybe also it's like maybe it's also like how I phrase things as well, maybe sometimes comes across as bitchy. I don't mean for it to come across as way, it's just how it comes out. So then that has also been like a situation that I've been in.
But it's a good question as to what is bitch and why is it bad?
Mm,
Because if it's an assertion
mm.
who is speaking her mind, what is wrong with that? I don't understand. Yeah, bitch is an interesting one. And
It is.
C word, I've been called that by men. Like, seriously? And it's crazy.
Ah,
Like, yeah, how easily they just throw that word around. Like, this is in like road rage incidents and stuff.
Mm.
mm,
Like, I do space outs. I know that. Like when I'm driving, like I this one guy, I spaced out and I was watching something else and I should have turned right when I didn't. And I said, I'm sorry, oops, my bad. And he like rolled down the window. He's like, cunts. Was that really necessary? To like, you have that much anger towards women that it's gonna come
mm.
5 seconds, right?
What
But
was
yeah,
your reaction to that, being called that?
I think it was just like incredulous. Like I wasn't hurt because it's like I did, I was in the wrong and it's fine. I messed up, but it's more just that question of like, you have so much anger towards this woman
Mm,
in a car because she's a woman. It's
mm,
what you guys were saying about, being and seeing these men who just really don't trust women and think we're like the enemy and vilify us. That was more my response, like, oh, you really do think I'm the enemy?
Mm-hmm.
mm.
Yeah.
But
Anyway,
they do say like most men don't like they don't really like women, or they are mistrustful. Maybe that's maybe the accurate thing. They are very mistrustful of us. And so it's like if you are that and you know that's how you feel, I don't know, maybe like get therapy for a bit and then like try. And because like I also know like, therapy is not like always the answer. You have to actually get in there as well. Like, get in, like interact with women actually, just to
Mm-hmm.
sort of like interact with different women, sort of get
Mm-hmm.
like a more all-rounded view of them instead of just having like one perception.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
totally.
Yeah.
Dealing with whatever happened. And I guess that's where the therapy
Mm,
bit comes. Able to reach within and be like, okay, cool, this is where my issue started with women. Deal with that with that issue as a single incident or a single woman who I had issues with. Then it'll be a lot easier to interact with others. Because I kid you not, unless a man has dealt with whatever the issue is, it's going to keep revisiting in different forms. So
mm,
Yeah, it's true.
will see whichever woman hurt him in the smallest things, and the cycle continues.
mm.
Yeah.
I agree. And it's
One
almost,
that,
yeah,
sorry, go ahead, Kirsty.
oh, I was just going to say, it's almost like confirmation bias because it's like, yes, probably your mother was never there for you when you needed feminine
Mm,
love, and now you're angry at all women. And anything that's a slight indication that supports your narrative that this woman doesn't care about me, or this woman's going to walk away, or this woman's a bitch, or whatever, is going to support that narrative of I can't trust women. And so
mm,
what you were saying basically, Terry, about just do the work on yourself first.
mm,
But what
One
were
that
we
I'm
going
going to talk as we wrap up is emotional. I have been called emotional in situations where it was not as a compliment or anything, it was really like as an insult, like, oh my God, so emotional. But it was
Mm-hmm.
really, and it really, some of these words, when you read them, it's like I think, what was it? What was it, Kyla, that you said, oh, but that can be a compliment. Some of
Oh,
these words can be
man.
very, exactly. Some of these words can be complimentary in their own way, depending on who is saying them and how, and the context that they're being said.
Yeah.
mm.
I know I'm an emotional being, but when certain people say it in certain situations, I'm just like, that is insulting.
Yeah. Yeah,
No,
exactly.
yeah. So I think that's one for me from the list that I was just like, oh my gosh, like when I think of it, I'm just like, yes, actually, the word being called emotional has been used in very negative connotations
Mm-hmm.
a couple of times. Yeah.
Mm,
And Terry, you're so right that it's a compliment. And when I think about
Yeah,
Kaliwa,
it is.
a bitch and Tara, you being called emotional, to me, that's your guys' superpowers. Kaliwe, that you are assertive and like you're gonna say what you think. And Terry, that you are deeply empathic and feel that's your superpower, it's your gift. And yet, yes, so often it's used against you by other
Mm,
for whatever reason going through their own stuff.
Yeah.
mm.
Isla, what about you?
I also, yeah, emotional.
Emotional? I was gonna ask, I put dumb blonde in there because of
Because
the
of the thing. Oh yeah, when I was 10, there was like this group of cool kids, and one of the guys who was a real jerk at the time, he called me. I remember him walking by talking about me, and then I asked my friend what he said, and he called me a sick-minded, dumb blonde, a short, sick-minded dumb blonde. And
Why
I
was he so
10.
angry?
Don't know. I don't know. He was trying to impress this girl he liked, I think, and impress his friends. So he's like, "Oh yeah, she's a short, sick-minded, dumb blonde." But it was so
That is
hurtful
so
at the time.
intense.
It was so intense. This like big jumble of
Mm.
words. I just broke down crying because I was so devastated by him calling me this.
Aw.
Yeah. I was so sad because it just felt like also like whenever I'd had fun or goofed around, that's been interpreted as like sick-minded or dumb or you know, just to have your personality, the fun parts of your personality just thought of as stupid and completely, yeah.
totally
Mm.
Bitsy is one that I would get called. Like
Yes.
Bitsy.
Yeah. Oh, I hate that.
Yeah. Okay,
Mm.
get mad at me, Kyla, when I'm like, oh, I'm so blonde. Because you're like, don't insult yourself, which I think is fair.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think you've internalized it in some way, Kirsty? Like this whole blonde thing? Like
Yes.
blondes are dumb kind of thing, yeah.
Yes. I think so. Huh.
Mm.
Next conversation of what we've internalized, the internalized patriarchy.
Like that.
Yeah, that was nice.
Mm.
That's a good one.
Okay, you
What?
guys. It was so lovely seeing you all. And yes, and we will
It
speak.
was.
I love our conversations as always. Thank you.
Same, same.
Me
When are we gonna talk
too.
about the stuff though? The other stuff.
Oh yeah, hold on one sec. I'm gonna stop.
Strategizing.